Season's greetings, metal brethren, and welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews. I'm George, and today it is the Winter Solstice. It's the beginning of Yule, so we have a seasonal special for you. Cheers! So, for this very traditional and very celebratory occasion, we are going to be going through 5 albums which I feel are the perfect soundtrack to your winter solstice and the beginning of that Yule time period. If you're not really familiar or not really all that sure what the winter solstice is actually all about, essentially it marks the point in the year where the days are at their shortest and the night is at its longest. But from here on out, the days will be gradually getting longer and the nights will gradually be getting shorter. Makes sense. But of course, going back through history, through mankind's history, across the centuries, the millennia, man has celebrated this occasion. It has been a very significant celestial occasion which has actually been reflected in the architecture and the development of so many prehistoric and ancient monuments, from Stonehenge to Avebury to all kinds of things. The pyramids, I don't know, maybe, but there's certainly, not sure about that one, but there are certainly so many prehistoric monuments that are all built to reflect the rising and the setting of the sun at the winter solstice. So, what you need for a very ancient pagan druid time of festivities and celebration is you need some good music. You can't just be having beer with no soundtrack. That's incredibly depressing. No, what you need is you need some good, upbeat, raucous metal. Something to celebrate the occasion, something that you can really get your move on to. So, I've compiled a list of 5 albums that I think make the perfect soundtrack to your winter solstice, the perfect celebratory music. So let's kick off with number 5. These are in no particular order of this album's better than this or this is more suitable than that. This is just 5 albums. So, number 5. We can't talk about folk tradition without talking about Korpiklaani. If you're not familiar with Korpiklaani, they are a Finnish folk metal band. They are a heavy band who incorporate a lot of traditional folk elements, a mixture of singing in English and in, I presume, Finnish, as they are a Finnish band. There's the incorporation of all these different musical elements, whether it's violin, or it's keyboards, or it's accordion. There's all these different elements thrown in, and you know what? I think it sounds great. Korpiklaani, they are one of these bands that has just been so consistent. They've got quite a number of albums to their name now, and I have them all. I have to say, they are such a consistent band. They really do deliver the goods, and they can be very heavy when they want to be. They can also be very melodic and very folky. Lots of different sort of more traditional like shaman drum elements there. They can be acoustic. This album is a particular favourite of mine. This is called Korpiklaani, and it is an absolute stormer. When it wants to be heavy, it can be really heavy. Plenty of crunchy riffs, really good stuff. I'm not going to try and pronounce some of these song titles because I'm just going to butcher it. However, there are a couple of tracks here which are instantly just raucous party starters. Vodka, for example, the opening track of this album, Korpiklaani, that is a fantastic, real lively party tune. And we've also got Bring Us Pints of Beer. What could be better? Perfect for the winter solstice celebrations. Absolutely love it. But throughout the album, it's really, really strong. There's so many great tracks here. As I say, it can be really heavy when they want to be, but also they can be quite melodic, they can be acoustic. They've just got great melody, and it's very folky. It's really good stuff. So, Korpiklaani, and this is one of my favourites of theirs. This is Korpiklaani. I actually did struggle to choose which one of their albums to go for. There was no doubt in my mind that Korpiklaani were going to be quite high up in the level of importance for a folk celebration, a traditional pagan festivity. Of course, you're going to have Korpiklaani in your soundtrack, but this is one of my personal favourites. So, Korpiklaani with Karkello. So, going from Finland to Switzerland for this one, well, another folk metal band that actually, you know what? I was listening to this particular album again yesterday, and I'd forgotten just how heavy Eluveitie are. They are a fantastic band, and I'm going with Origins, this one. This is, as I say, this is a particularly heavy album. This was released in 2014, and it is a brilliant album. Not just because they did quite well with the single The Call of the Mountains, which was quite a big, very melodic, but very, very moving folk metal track. Big chorus, heavy elements, good riffing. It was a perfect single for the album. But you know, start to finish, Origins is a very consistent album. And Eluveitie have quite a number of great albums to their name. But this one I particularly enjoy. Tracks like The Nameless, From Darkness, Keltos, that is a fantastic song. Inception, The Silver Sister, King. There are some great tracks here. Overall, it's a very heavy album, I would say. There's elements here that remind me of In Flames and At the Gates at times. So you've got that sort of melodic death metal element, but you've got a whole host, a vast array of different traditional folk instrumentals and different instrumental sections. And it sounds brilliant. You've got female vocals, and you've also got aggressive male vocals, more like death metal vocals. It sounds brilliant. The songs flow so well. It's quite a grand, epic undertaking, actually, Origins, but it definitely has that real folk feeling to it, that real pagan vibe. And I have to say, this, although this isn't my favourite Eluveitie album, this is certainly a good one for this occasion. It's a fantastic album. A little bit heavier, I would say, than Korpiklaani, definitely. A little bit less folk, but at the same time, a little bit kind of more epic, more grander, I should say. Origins, a fantastic album and certainly a perfect fitting soundtrack for the Winter Solstice. Keeping with the folk theme, we cannot neglect one of my favourite and probably the only bands that I know of this particular subgenre when we talk about troll metal, but one of my favourite folk metal bands. They are a great combination of folk, traditional folk music, along the lines of Korpiklaani's elements, but also a great merger of black metal. I'm talking about Fintroll. Now, these guys are from Finland, and they are technically troll metal. So let's just establish that these guys are pretty unique. These guys are really a one of a kind. Totally unique because I don't know any other folk troll metal bands other than maybe Trollfest, but these guys are killer. And I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation of this album, Vredesvarvd. I hope that's right, but of course it's unpronounceably Finnish. This is a fantastic album. This is quite a short and sweet album, just under 40 minutes long. But as I say, the spine of it is black metal, but everything else is folk mixed with melodic elements. It's really good stuff. It's certainly really lively and enjoyable, and it is definitely the sort of album that you can put on and you can have a little jive along to. You can definitely groove along to it. It's really, really good stuff. Fintroll, they've got quite a number of albums to their name. This is actually the most recent album of theirs. This was 2020. And I don't know, for me, this one really connects. I think this is a perfect, very cold, bleak, pagan sounding album. Very folky stuff. Perfect for the Winter Solstice. Those bitter, chilling nights when really you just need to warm your bones with that ale. A great album, very heavy album, lots of different types of instrumentals there. There's a whole host of things going on. It sounds great. As I say, it's got a very strong black metal sound, so it is heavy, but it's great. I absolutely love it. Keeping with Finland, which seems to actually make up the majority of my choices here, which I've only just really realised, but we can't talk about folk metal without talking about Ensiferum. We've had Korpiklaani, so we've had the two essentials in my opinion now. This is the album From Afar. This was released in 2009 and this is an absolute masterpiece. As I say, it's quite melodic actually. There are some moments here that are very melodic death metal, more akin to the likes of In Flames or even Amon Amarth. But you've got some really great stuff here. The combination of traditional folk sounds, instrumentals, very melodic stuff. It's the kind of music where it would be the perfect soundtrack to Elder Scrolls or Skyrim or Dragon Age or those sorts of games where you've got, take a track like Twilight Tavern. Perfect combination of heavy and ambient melodic elements there. From Afar is a great track as well. For me, the standouts are the epic Heathen Throne and the closing one, The Longest Journey, which is the Heathen Throne Part 2. Those particular tracks are brilliant. They are in excess of 10, 11 minutes long a piece, I believe, but they really do have all the full spectrum of the melodic folk metal elements there. Melodic death metal at times. We've got great sort of synths and soundscapes, keys, harsh vocals. We've got it all here. It sounds brilliant, and I absolutely love this album because it's a very folky album, but it's almost magical. It's got that magical element to it. I think it sounds fantastic, and it's certainly a very, very fitting winter album. Certainly for the Winter Solstice. Absolutely love this one. This is From Afar. Ensiferum have no bad albums, and you could have picked most of their catalogue, but for me, other than Unsung Heroes and maybe Two Paths, I think this is definitely the most fitting for the celebration that we're talking about. Certainly when you've got tracks like, as I've mentioned, From Afar, Twilight Tavern, of course, Stone Cold Metal, which is a really interesting one actually, because Stone Cold Metal almost contains sort of southern country sounding acoustics. It's very interesting. That's certainly one to check out. It's very folky, very different. And Smoking Ruins as another great one, an ode to the fallen heroes, fallen warriors, to them on the solstice. So Ensiferum, From Afar, a fantastic folk metal album, very melodic, very heavy. Last but not least, another Finnish band. What a surprise. That is quite a surprise. That's 4 out of 5 bands from Finland. I think these guys have just nailed it when it comes to folk metal. Can't not mention Winter Sun. And it makes total sense. This is the Winter Solstice. Winter Sun. Perfect. And this is Time One. I cannot stress enough how much I love this album. Released in 2012. I think this is an absolute masterpiece. Winter Sun are one of those bands where really you just wish you want them to have released more albums more regularly. But the 3 albums that we do have from Winter Sun are so majestic. They're so epic. They are so big in terms of their sound and their style. Completely unique that really, do you need much more? Of course, I do hope they do release more material in future, but those 3 releases that we do have, they're enough to keep you satisfied for a long time anyway. So Time One, absolutely love this. That intro track, When Time Fades Away, is just a sort of folk metal, more of a folk traditional symphonic sounding song, incorporating a lot of oriental sounds and styles. I think it's absolutely beautiful. It's one of those songs where you need to just close your eyes, have your headphones on, and just absorb it. Let the music wash over you and paint those beautiful soundscapes in your third eye, your mind's eye. Then we've got Sons of Winter and Stars. This is a very long, epic song. It's actually only comprised of 5 songs, this album, 2 of which are instrumental sort of interludes. But Sons of Winter and Stars combines black metal with symphonic metal and folk metal, with melodic metal as well. And you get all these different elements thrown in, and it sounds fantastic. It's such an epic journey. The whole album is an epic journey. It takes you right into the heart of winter, and it is so soulful. I absolutely love this. It's such a powerful piece of work. Land of Snow and Sorrow is actually a far heavier affair compared to the other tracks here. Massive sound again. Sounds fantastic. It's a brilliant sounding song. Heavy, symphonic. It's those beautiful chilling soundscapes that really get you. And after Darkness and Frost, which is the brief instrumental interlude there, we've got Time, which is the closing epic track. Very symphonic, very big sound, epic sound. Fantastic vocals as well throughout this album, I must say. It sounds brilliant, and it is the perfect music for these cold winter nights where you grab yourself that ale, you park yourself down, you've got your headphones on, and you just submerge yourself into some really encapsulating soulful music. So, Time 1 by Winter Sun. To that. So to give you a rundown in reverse order there, we just had Winter Sun with Time 1 there. We've got Ensiferum, folk metal gods. I love it. It's the whole Viking imagery. Their artwork is amazing as well. Absolutely love it. As I say, perfect soundtrack if you're playing those sorts of RPG games like Elder Scrolls or Skyrim. So Ensiferum with From Afar. Amazing musicians, amazing vocals, very, very interesting, very creepy sound. Fintroll with that unpronounceable 2020 album, Vredesvavd. I don't know, I'm sorry if I'm absolutely butchering that. The only album not to be coming from Finland for this selection, Eluveitie from Switzerland with Origin. Absolutely fantastic album. And last but not least, we've got Korpiklaani with Kokelo. Fantastic album. Love these guys so much. Can't recommend them enough. So my friends, whether you are celebrating the winter solstice with your ale and metal or not, you really should be, because what could be better? But whether you are or not, check out these albums if you haven't heard them. And if you are celebrating, what are your celebratory pagan albums? I want to hear. How will you be marking the occasion for the winter solstice? What will your musical choices be? I'm very interested to hear. Thank you very much for watching this rather amusing and entertaining but brief seasonal special. Do take care, my friends. Check back soon for more reviews and recommendations, all things good and heavy. Take care, my friends. Stay heavy.